because this is one of the rare opportunities, especially, we're covering golf, and Jared and I have been doing this now for, is it a year or a year and a half?
Yeah, well over a year now,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. So for over a year, and this is the first opportunity that we've had. We've been live, a couple times? Second time, right?
Second time.
Yeah. And, I know it's Friday night. I don't know how many viewers we're going to get, but this is just an opportunity that even if we don't get many live viewers at this point in time, the fact is that we're going to post this right away, and it's going to give you an opportunity to check out the latest odds and take the trends that we're going to be able to go over with you, including insight from Jared being on location at Oak Hill, on the grounds, and hopefully put all that together to give you the best information you're going to need for live wagering this weekend. So what'd you think about, well, first of all, the first couple of days in general, and then your time out on the golf course today?
Yeah, the course is playing as tough as I expected it to. I mean, it's hard to hit fairways. If you don't hit fairways, you're struggling to get the ball on the green, basically. So it is definitely a true tee to green test. The greens are doable. Like when guys are making putts like that. That's not what's making this course hard. It's more the tee to green stuff. And I think that's why you see Victor Hovland and obviously Scheffler, and also Corey Connors, who is an excellent ball striker, is putting well this weekend. I followed Connors around for about 11 holes today. He was just striping it. He's playing awesome. Now we can talk about whether we think he can close this thing and win it. The course is awesome. We had like 3 different seasons of weather throughout the round today, which is kind of Rochester.
That's what you want.
We're gonna get 2 different seasons these next 2 days, because tomorrow, Saturday, is supposed to be rainy and windy and like 60 degrees, and then Sunday is going to be beautiful, in the 70s. I think less winds, no rain.
That's good.
So
it's good that the weather comes, Saturday and not on the final round. Yeah.
Yep.
That's perfect. I think it's perfect. I think, again, you want golfers to be able to play in all sorts of conditions. So if there's no conditions, based on what you've seen so far, if the weather is just normal, the way that they wanted the course to play, what do you think the winning score would be?
8 or 9 under.
Okay. So with the conditions tomorrow, and what we had to deal with so far a little bit the first couple of days in general,
right,
what do you think the winning score is going to be?
6 or 7 under.
Oh, that's not too big of a difference.
Yeah, tomorrow it's gonna soften up tomorrow, which I think it's going to be easier to hit fairways, easier to hit greens,
which favors.
We'll see the best ball strikers.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's gonna make it play longer. Right, you're going to get less rollout on the fairways. But I think all the guys near the top of the leaderboard are long enough. Even Corey Connors, I was surprised how far he was driving it. I know he's not a long hitter. I think he's like average if you look at average driving distance. But he was driving it plenty long enough. Again, I don't think it's a long course, but I think it's more how tough it is to hit the fairways, and then how tough the rough is playing. That to me, those are the 2 biggest reasons it's playing tough, not necessarily how long it is.
Yeah, we talked about that on our preview show. And what I want to do too is go over some of those trends that see if they've been working out. We're also going to get into where historically PGA champions have come from after the second round and after the third round, so you have an idea of what to expect there. We've got the odds. All right, so before we get into some of this stuff, what you're saying is, well, you tell me, with the players that are in contention, just the ones that are, say, 1 over at the worst, are there particular players that you think, from what you've seen, you think we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said 1 over, because that's kind of where I've drawn the line of guys that I think still have a chance to win this. So that's
okay.
I mean, that's still 29 guys.
Sure.
Now I think to me, the one guy I'd point out is Patrick Cantlay, who got off to a rough start on Thursday, was awesome today. If you just look at strokes gained tee to green today, which is, off the tee approach and around the green, Brooks Koepka was number one by a pretty wide margin. Patrick Cantlay was number two by a pretty wide margin. Then it's a drop off. Jon Rahm was third. Victor Hovland was fourth. So Cantlay, played today how I kind of thought he'd play all week coming in. So again, he's six back. That's a lot to make up. But Cantlay's kind of as far down the leaderboard I would go if you're looking to make a live bet.
Well, look, let's throw this in there then, because this is going to have a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about regarding who we're potentially still believe, like you said, who's in it, who's not. Okay, unlike the Masters, the PGA Championship, after 2 rounds, is still there for the taking. We saw it last year when Justin Thomas won. And remember, we said this just a few days ago, that when Justin Thomas won, he was tied for the largest final round deficit at 7 strokes back. And the other player was John Mahaffey in 1978. So, yes, it doesn't happen often, but that was final round. So it's just so we're not even there yet, and that's 7 strokes back. Mm-hmm. So let's keep that in mind. Now, as far as here's an interesting player. In '89, Payne Stewart began the 3rd round 7 strokes back in 14th. So he was in better position. Then went to after the 3rd round, going into the 4th round, he was only in 11th place. So he only moved up 3 spots and only 1 stroke. He was 6 back and 11th place. So that just shows you, along with Justin Thomas come from behind win, and historically too. Okay, this is after the 2nd round. I've got around 10 players in the history, and the history goes back to, I believe, 58 for the PGA Championship. So I've got about 10 players, it's okay, that have come from at least 5 strokes back after the 2nd round. That includes 3 or 4 players at 6 strokes back. We got Payne Stewart, I mentioned, 7 back. We have a couple of players at 8 strokes back, and the largest deficit is 9 strokes back. It was done a couple of times, most recently in '86. That player was 17th. Now, placement seems to be a little bit more difficult because I believe we only can go back to about 26th, 25th. Matter of fact, Morikawa was 25th, 6 strokes back in 2020. So that's why like you said, I think we agree with the 1 over. So let's use the 1 over, because what the 1 over does as well is it puts us at about 19th place, because if we go to 2 over, that's 30th. We don't really want to go there. That would be record breaking. So, because what are we? What's the number now? The lead is 5. Okay. So, so again, I'm not worried about strokes back, because if we're talking about strokes back, then you'd be going to players, 40th and 50th. We're not going to do that. But I think we're in agreement that if we stick to the players who were tied for 19th and 6 back, every one of those players is still in this thing.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now it's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take, some lesser performances from Scotty Scheffler, who I'd be worried about if you're looking to bet someone else, because I think this tournament's gonna come down, and a lot of majors are like this. It's gonna come down more to avoiding bogeys than making birdies.
Doubles, and Scheffler doubles.
Avoiding, a couple times. Scheffler on 17 put his drive way into the trees. Right, had to punch out. He had like 50 yards out of the rough for his 3rd shot, and put it to 8 feet and saved par. It's just, holes like that. It's just he's so good at saving par like that. That's why I think he's obviously the deserving favorite going in. I think the way this course is playing just sets up really well for Scheffler's game.
Look, this is the other thing we talked about. Even though look, we gave our picks and everything like that, but what we said, and it is what it is, but. The stars just seem to be aligning with Scotty Scheffler to win this, based on how both Scheffler and Rahm have started the year. Rahm wins the Masters. Scheffler would then therefore win the PGA. He hasn't done it yet. He's got 2 more days, but he's in perfect position to get it done. And I'm going to be, now that he's in this position, after what we kind of felt anyway, I would be pretty surprised if he didn't close the deal.
Me too. And the odds will tell you that, right? He's plus 140 on DraftKings right now, so you're not getting too much value there, I don't think.
You know, and if he wasn't, let's just say if he was even par, this thing would be completely wide open.
Yes, for sure.
And remember, that's the other thing we talked about, was this was a golf course, and we mentioned Masters this year too, but we just talked a little bit about, hey, there's going to be a lot of players that aren't necessarily in the top 10 or the top 20, and they're going to be hanging around, and they're going to be in contention, and that's what we got here. We got we got Justin Suh right now, as of today, tied for 4th, just 2 back. I don't think that's going to last very much longer. Maybe another day. It's possible.
How about my guy, Callum Tarrant?
Your guy, that's right. Didn't he do this in this event last year?
Oh, did he?
Isn't this the one that you noticed him at?
Maybe. I know I didn't bet him at last year's PGA.
No, I know, but I remember
because
because we had talked about that, and I think this was the event that we both remember. Buckley and Tarrant, I think. We're doing
Buckley for sure.
I don't know if it was the U.S. Open, but it was either the U.S. Open or the PGA. So, we'll see how long that goes. Everybody's talking about Michael Block. That seems to be a big story. But again, not sure how long that's going to last. DeChamps.
Well, how about...
Go ahead.
Right, Bryson. And how about the number of upper echelon players who either missed the cut or made the cut on the number? Like, it's just Spieth and JT, and I know Xander struggled today. Fitzpatrick 3-putted 18 to miss the cut. Just a lot. I mean, Rahm obviously bounced back a bit today, but really struggled on Thursday. So this course is, it's making some of these really good players look bad.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Fitzpatrick, Day, Cameron Young, and let's see,
Ricky missed the cut.
Ricky, even though we could put him in there. Burns, but again, Ricky and Burns, it's not like it's totally unexpected in a way, but but that's it. You just said it was right, which was they had to struggle to make the cut. There were a lot of good players who almost didn't, but now that these guys are in it, look, we're not saying that somebody who's in 59th place, 10 strokes back, is going to win it. But there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be, especially with the talent they have and with the weather conditions we're going to see tomorrow. And that's the thing about the tee times. Now, they're talking about, this isn't going to be one of those things where you're going to wake up and there's going to be rain and windy conditions. This is going to be, a weather pattern's coming in. The stronger winds and the rain, from what I hear, you're there on the course. So you tell me, but it seems to me that it's going to be one of those deals that potentially could favor some of the players who go out early.
I'm going to pull up the wind right now. I know the rain is supposed to be like literally all day from like 6 a.m. to, I think it might, the leaders might get some dry weather at the very end of their round. I think it might end around like 6, but let's see, as far as the wind tomorrow looks a bit worse in the morning, and then it dies down a bit throughout the day from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So does it show like, do you got the hour by hour?
So 8 a.m. the gusts are 24. By 2 p.m. the gusts are down to just 5 miles per hour. So it's more just the morning.
Oh, so it is. Okay. Because they were telling me on the broadcast, ESPN, we're making it sound like that it was going to be a midday kind of deal. So what you're saying is now it's going to be morning.
Looks like worse winds in the morning.
All right.
Yep. And rain all day. Rain till like 5.
And when does that start, though? Not talking about the tee times, but just overall. When does it start?
When does the rain start?
And the wind.
Like 6 a.m. like 6 a.m. and it's going to be windy when they tee off.
Okay.
The worst winds are going to be early in the
All
morning.
right.
The first guys off might have the worst conditions.
Do we know when did they put tee times out yet?
They did, yeah. I think it starts. Yeah, I got it right here. 8:10 is the first tee time. The leaders go off at 2:50.
Oh, they go off that late.
And
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this. The third to last group is Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka.
Oh, okay.
Who have a bit of a history.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, it's the only thing that's not good is that they're both live players. So,
yep.
You know, it would have been a lot better if one was on the PGA Tour, but that's cool. Okay. Well, yeah, as far as DeChambeau is concerned, it was very important for him to play well today. Now, I still don't know if I believe that this is going to continue. It's very difficult. I mean, in a major of all things, if your game is just not, if you haven't done anything for like a year, and you come into a major, the toughest golf course basically you're going to see all year, one of. All right, I can believe a round or two, but I just am going to have a hard time believing that he's not going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
Either tomorrow or Sunday. So
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. That's how it feels. I can just tell you though, looking at the numbers though, there's nothing fluky about what he's done so far. He's leading the field in strokes gained off the tee by a full stroke. So he's been easily the best driver in the field. He's 11th best on approach. So the only player that's been better tee to green than Bryson so far is Victor Hovland. So he's hitting the ball really well.
Well, the good thing is that he's 14-1. Now, if we're taking a look at who to go with here, you have, again, this is one of those things where because Scheffler is where he is, I'm not using this event to try to make money. I mean, to try to, hey, you know what? I got to pay a bill this week. This is just not the event to do it. If you're going to do that, just go ahead and take Scheffler. But just, play around with some of the long shots. That's what I would do. I wouldn't look if I was going to play somebody that was less than Koepka at 10-1, then I would play Scheffler. I wouldn't play Hovland at 4-1. I wouldn't play Connors at 6-1. That's because I'd rather just go with the longer shot guys. I'm just saying if I was going to take single digit guys, because even Victor Hovland, and we referenced this, he's played a lot better in majors recently. He's trying to pull a Jason Day, which we said it could happen, but can he handle the pressure? Not tomorrow, but if he's hanging around on Sunday.
Yeah, Hovland's a tough one for me. Like I think I've said it plenty too that he needs to show more or not even show more at this point, but just win one of these. Not even a major, just an upper tier event. But
something in the United States would be a good start.
Yeah, but I mean, this is 3 majors in a row now where he's been in the mix, right? He was right there at the Open. He was kind of there, at least for a while at the Masters, and now he's T1 after Friday at the PGA. So I mean, 4-1 isn't enough for me to want to bite on Hovland at this point. And 650 is definitely plus 650 is definitely not enough for me to bet on Corey Connors for as well as he hit the ball today.
No way.
And he is T1, but I'd still be pretty shocked if Connors won this.
Yeah, with Hovland, I mean, he's going to really, it would be a big bummer for me and one and done because I've been waiting on him for the Open Championship, which, by the way, it's starting to look even this much better if he continues to play well and doesn't win this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you might want to take a look at him, like maybe even now. You might want to take a look at him for the Open Championship before those odds go down. I'm not even sure what they are, but I would think they're probably still around 25-1. I would say maybe even better.
I can tell you if you give me 30 seconds.
I mean, I would have thought that 25-1 would have been what we would see, or 22-1 is what we would see if people started wagering on him now. Otherwise, I would have expected around 30-1.
Yeah, Hovland's 28
There
to
you
1
go.
right now on
Okay.
DraftKings.
That's about right. And I
So,
think that's good.
yep.
I think that look, if he wins this one, then you're screwed because he's not winning 2 majors. So,
Exactly.
but you take a chance.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the chance with
Yep.
the 28 to 1 right now in the Open Championship than the 4 to 1 in this thing. Even though he's sitting right there in contention.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, so the two guys I would look at, like down the board, because I'm with you. I wouldn't bet Hovland. I wouldn't bet Connors. Brooks is the guy I would look to at the, closer to the top. 10 to 1. It's okay. I mean, he shot the best score of the day today, right? I think he was. He shot -4 today, the round of the day.
Who would you take between
and
Koepka and DeChambeau?
looked really good. Brooks. Yeah, just because he's done it more often. I trust him more at this point to close a major. The two guys I would look to farther down the board would be Patrick Cantlay, who obviously liked coming in. He is 35 to 1. He's six shots back. The deeper guy, Shane Lowry, at 60 to 1, was one of a handful of guys to shoot -3 today. So the second best round of the day behind only Brooks. And if it's sloppy weather conditions tomorrow, Lowry's a guy that we've seen do well in conditions like that.
Yeah,
so,
and he's 60 to 1.
60 to 1, 5 shots back. Say he can cut the lead, to 2 going into Sunday in these bad conditions on Saturday. I think Lowry might be worth a look at 60.
The only thing I'd be concerned with, but not at 60 to 1, but maybe Koepka at 10, is that even though the score doesn't look like it, basically what Koepka and Lowry did were on a regular golf course, they both shot like 62 or 63. And it's really hard, as we all know, to duplicate that the very next day. So that's the only thing I'd be a little bit concerned with. But again, not Lowry at 60 to 1, because, hey, I'm getting 60 to 1. I'm not going to worry about that. Because even if he hangs around and is like in reasonable distance, and maybe he goes from wherever he is now, 10th and tied for 10th, and maybe he's tied for 5th and he's 3 back, you're going to get better than 60 to 1. So
exactly.
You might as well take the 60 to 1 now. So yeah, I like that one. How about other stats? You mentioned Cantlay. Are there any other stats from players that are within the range of 1 over that we should be keeping an eye on? Because
I'm just looking through the guys who played the best today, tee to green. No one I would trust to win this thing. I mean, Adam Svensson was really good today. He's at even, so he's 5 back. But I mean, I wouldn't go betting Adam Svensson.
Well, let's go over
to win this
reasonable
thing.
names. Morikawa.
Yep. Yeah, what was kind of pull up his stats today?
He's one of those.
He was good today. He's hitting fairways. I think he's close to the top of the tournament and hitting fairways right now. Which again, I didn't like Morikawa coming into this week because I did think distance would be more important. I still think it is. I still think Morikawa is at a slight disadvantage because he's not the longest player. But again, I do think accuracy even trumps distance at this point from what I'm seeing. So I do think Morikawa is interesting from that standpoint. Morikawa is tough trailing like this because he's not a guy that's going to, make a ton of birdies just because he's not a great putter generally. I'd rather have him, playing from ahead. So I think Cantlay is more equipped to make a comeback from +1 than Morikawa is.
Yeah, well, to tell you the truth, I think that's what you want if you're going to back Cantlay, because we don't want him with the lead in a major.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Yep. So what about also at 1 over, Dustin Johnson and Mito Pereira?
Yeah, man, DJ fell apart late today, right? He was 2 or 3 under par last I saw him, and he finished +1.
You're getting 50 to 1 on DJ at 1 over.
Yeah. Looking at his stats, it's all been putting. He is he might be leading the tournament in putting.
Really?
He's 4th in putting. He's 4th in putting.
Well, that's good news then, isn't it? Considering that's not usually his bread and butter.
If you think the ball striking is going to come back, because his approach game has not been good. He's been average off the tee. If you think that's gonna come back these last 2 days and he keeps the hot putter, then sure. But I'd rather see someone hitting it well and putting poorly, because I think it's more likely that the putter turns around than the ball striking. So I wouldn't be in on Dustin.
All right, even par. You mentioned Lowry, and by the way, again, even par is 5 back. The only other name, the big one there, is Rory. So Rory, who, by the way, as we talked about before, excellent on bent grass golf courses. So he still has that going for him. And, you know, we know Rory's the type of player that would have no problem coming from behind to win an event. He doesn't. He's in the same position that he was when the tournament began. Nobody's picking him. Nobody's going to think that he's going to. Sure, they might say, "Hey, watch out for Rory," but they don't really mean it. So when you look at a guy like that, you understand also why you're getting. I mean, that's the thing that's unfortunate, is that he's 1 stroke better than Dustin Johnson, and yet he's 20 to 1. DJ's 50 to 1.
Yeah, and I was right. I honestly, I barely saw Rory at all today because the galleries with him were obviously massive. But I was actually just watching his post-round interview before we hopped on here, and he seems shocked that he's somehow at even par, because he admits, like, he's I think the exact words he used was he's just uncomfortable over the golf ball right now. Like he's kind of piecing these rounds together somehow. I don't think he's playing. Yeah, I don't think he's playing unless he finds something tonight.
So even the stats aren't. There's nothing there stats wise.
But he's actually his strokes gained approach stats are nice. He's lost 0.3 strokes off the tee, which is very rare for Rory. You know, he's usually near the top of the field off the tee. So, but the approach game is actually good. I don't know, just the way he's talking, he doesn't sound like someone that can make this comeback.
Well, let's all remember Sergio Garcia winning the Masters. So if Sergio can win the Masters, he had no confidence, 0, and he was able to pull it out. So it could happen, but it's 20 to 1. I want more than 20 to 1.
Yeah. Even JT last year, after Saturday's round, spent like 2 hours on the range because he thought his swing was a mess, and that he made that 7-stroke comeback on Sunday. So yeah, these things can happen. But you're right. I would want more than 20 to 1 on Rory. The other guy at even, who I also bet pre-tournament, Keegan Bradley. He's another guy who kind of faded late today. He was under par for most of the day, but his stats look pretty solid. We talked about the reasons to like him coming in. He's just good on tough golf courses. He's good on East Coast courses. So Keegan Bradley's 80 to 1.
Yeah, that's a big number.
DraftKings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. And then we go to 1 under, and there's only 2 players. One of them is Justin Rose. So we talked about the gift at 110 to 1 pre-tournament that Justin Rose was. And for a good portion of the early part of the day, that group, he was right up there. He was near the top. And unfortunately, he kind of lost some steam in the last 3 or 4 holes, where he bogeyed, I think, 2 of his last 4 holes or something like that.
2 of his last 4, yeah. And man, as you're watching this tournament over the weekend now, holes 6 and 7 are so hard. And those are the 2 holes that Rose bogeyed, especially 6. And it was playing into the wind today, and it's just so long. There's a creek running up the right side of the fairway. The creek runs up the left and the back of the green. There's just trouble all over that hole. I think the scoring average on 4, it's a par 4. I think the scoring average today was close to 5. So, I mean, guys are just making bogeys all over that hole. But
they're not going to have to worry then about those holes coming down the stretch. That was because of the tee times. Now everybody can get it over with after this first 6 or 7 holes.
Yeah, now 16, 17, 18 are really hard on the
Oh yeah, nobody's saying it's easy, but 6 and 7 you don't have to worry about that late. So
I mean, Rose is 35 to 1. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully you took him at the 110 pre-tournament.
I did. So I've got a big amount on him, but I think in order for him to win, players like that have got to get off to good starts. So, and look, I know he never won an Open Championship, and it was never his favorite major, trend-wise. But we're talking about a player that grew up in it. So I would think that it's not going to be an issue for him. So that could be a benefit to him. All right, 2 under. We talked about Koepka and Taryn. So again, Koepka 10-1. The Shambo 3 under with Suh. But what's Suh, by the way? Suh? 40-1.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. 40-1.
And Hovland, Connors, and Scheffler. And then some of the other trends, just to see if they're going to continue or not. The pre-trends. Remember, Americans have won 7 straight PGA Championships. The other record's going to continue. That Tiger Woods, the last player to win the event following a win. So Jason Day didn't even make the cut. So remember, and you might want to look at this. I'm not going to go over it right now, but you might want to look at this, just kind of refresher that you want those players that, or it would be beneficial that they did not have a week off. And that includes DeChambeau and Koepka. And they did not have, they played last week. Scheffler played. So remember, we said this when Mickelson won in 21. He broke a streak of 14 straight winners who appeared at the PGA Championship without a week off and won it. And Mickelson broke a streak of 17 consecutive winners who registered the top 30 in his previous event. So keep that in mind too. That might affect, if you think about the trend, might affect Hovland. But I also wouldn't put too much into it with Live Tour players because those stats, they only have about 40 players. But yeah, some of those I think could be interesting, and you might want to just have a refresher on it. All right, so predictions. What are you thinking? What do you think is the wagering strategy for Jared?
Yeah. My prediction is that Scheffler is going to win this thing. So if you want to bet him at plus 140, I don't think it's a bad bet. I don't like making golf bets at plus 140. If I was adding to my card right now, I would put a little bit on Cantlay, a little bit on Lowry, and maybe a buck or two on Keegan if you would just want to add a third guy.
Okay. I have, just so you know, because some of the money, so obviously I have Scheffler. I told you I got the parlay money with Day. So I have Scheffler ready.
Oh, that's right.
I did put a couple of bucks on Hovland. Because whatever, I think I put like 3 and change or $4 on Hovland and Cantlay. So I have that. But again, I don't have Connors. I don't have Koepka. Don't have DeChambeau. Don't have McIlroy. So I would probably, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to think about Koepka and maybe doing something there. He scares me.
Yep.
And then I don't know, McIlroy.
What's Mito? Even or is he plus 1?
He is plus 1.
Plus 1.
He actually got to even.
Yeah,
I think he got to -1 actually.
I think he did. Yeah, he was under par at points today. Yeah. I mean, you can take a shot on it. I kind of think you're just throwing away money though.
And then Max Homa, man. Ugh.
Oh, so we guys I was with, we followed Max Homa and Tony Finau for all 18 holes this morning.
Oh.
That was a roller coaster round for Finau for Homa. Sorry, Finau just kind of struggled all day. Homa at times looked like he was going to get back in the thing. And then he doubled hole 6, the one I was talking about. He drove it into the water.
That's what did it.
Right. He put his third shot into the water over the green. So yeah, I mean, he made too many mistakes today, but yeah, he made plenty of birdies, just too many bogeys and doubles.
Well, look. Once again, 9 strokes back has been done and accomplished. So if I was still going to look for a player along those lines, I would, you know what? I'd throw a buck on Homa because he's 200-1. He really, not all he would have to do, but if he could slice that lead to get to like 5, he's right now at 8. If he can get to 5, I think that's manageable. He's a talented player. He was on that roll until that happened. So you know that's what you want to keep an eye on. Are those types of players? I think that might have. Yeah, the score doesn't look good, but hey, it was just one hole. They were on a run in a one hole, one swing, just screwed their round. And could they? Are they mentally tough enough? The other thing is, again, we want to make sure Homa, because he's never won a major and he's struggled in majors before. But I don't see that being an issue right now. I don't think that was a problem with him today. I don't. That it was a tough hole. It was a tough golf course. So
Yes, Homa made 5 birdies today. I'm just looking through all the scorecards. I don't know. Brooks made 5 as well. I don't know if anyone made more though. So again, it was the lack of or the inability to avoid the bogeys that cost him today. But if he can, continue to make birdies like this and clean up the mistakes, yeah, I mean he's someone that could go low tomorrow and at least get his name back in the mix.
all right. So besides the prediction, do you have anything else that we should keep an eye on, considering you're on the golf course? You mentioned the 6th hole. Anything else? Like which hole is the hole that you better do well on that hole. You have to take advantage of that hole or two.
I mean 14, the short. Actually, 14. Well, 13's the par 5. It's long. It's 600 yards. But 14's like the drivable.
That's the 315-yard par 4.
Yep, and then 15 is a pretty short par 3. So that 13, 14, 15 is where guys have been getting on birdie streaks. So I think come Sunday down the stretch, that's going to be interesting because those 3 holes are on the easier side, and then the final 3 holes are super tough. So you're gonna want if you have someone in the mix on Sunday, you're definitely gonna want that guy to make a birdie or 2 or 3 on 13, 14, 15 before it gets to the tough stretch closing.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, if we're talking about players that are within a stroke or two, your player will have the advantage, so to speak, that he's going to be done as the leaders potentially will be starting those tough 3 holes. So if you're only like 2 back and you're looking at live betting and you're saying, hey, I'm 20-1 and I'm only 2 back and those guys are about to go on those really 3 tough golf courses, I'm gonna throw a few bucks on so-and-so player.
Sure.
So
yeah,
keep an eye on that kind of stuff. All right, sounds good. Appreciate it, Jared. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy and have a lot of fun for the weekend.
Gonna get wet tomorrow.
You will get wet. No question about it. Nothing you could do. So enjoy that. By the way, this is just as a fan, correct?
Just as a fan.
Yeah, so
I had to pay it again, just like everyone else.
That's too bad. Anyway,
it's I like just real quick. Like the PGA Championship did awesome with the setup for fans. It was an awesome experience today. It's very, very well run.
Anything in particular that stands out?
Food was good. It was just very, very well organized. Everything's marked really well. There's tons of places to get food, bathrooms all over the place. So it's just very, very enjoyable.
No problem with the fans. Everything good?
Yeah, no problem from where I was sitting.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Can't wait to recap the PGA Championship on our show on Monday. What do we have? Is Memorial next week?
I haven't even started thinking about next week yet. I think is it though? It is. I think we had said that's
right. That's
four strong events out of the next 5 or something.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
you
like
said that's like the RBC Heritage. That's going to be a big field. So next week's going to be awesome as well.
Elevated event. Yep, elevated event.
All right, sounds good. So don't miss out on our show on Monday night when we get the opportunity to do it all over again. And hopefully you guys have some money already out there on some players in the lead. If you don't, I hope we provided enough good information for you to try to make some of that money back or maybe even come out way ahead. So that'll wrap it up. And again, also want to remind everybody that we'll try to do these live shows as much as possible, and just getting them on is just get everybody used to the fact that we might have these shows. So that's why you want to not only subscribe, but hit the bell icon on the subscribe button. This way, it's just a double, way for you to recognize the fact that we have a live show coming on your YouTube account or whatever it is. I don't know how often you go on YouTube, but if you're a frequent YouTuber, it makes it a lot easier for you to know that we've got one of these live shows. So, Jared, appreciate it. I'll talk to you on Monday.